So an evil plague has spread upon Gotham, and that plague is being evilness. And the source of that evilness comes from none other than Oswald Cobblepot. So spoiler alert for episode 8 of Penguin if you haven't seen it yet. A lot of stuff happened. So basically this whole theme of evil spreading from Oz's actions, it affects all of the people in his life, turning them from morally good people into kind of antagonists for Oswald through many stages of his life. For starters, we figure out that Oswald's mother knows or figures out that he's responsible for the death of his two brothers when they were kids, and that kind of sends her over the edge, turning her into an antagonist because she considers hiring the mafia guy that Oz looks up to be a hitman and kill Oz. But Oz doesn't know this yet, or he doesn't know this at all, but he convinces his mom to call off the hit by telling her lies or feeding her everything she wants to hear, such as everything will be okay and he'll always be there to take care of her. Meanwhile, with Sophia, she has him and his mother held hostage, and she reveals that she knows and that his mother knows what he did to his two brothers when they were kids as well. And she basically wants Oz to admit to his crime, but he doesn't want to because he doesn't want to upset his mom. But his mom gives in to the evil that was spread by Oz's actions all those years ago, and basically says how much she hates him and resents him, and that she's never forgiven him, and that she's a big disappointment to him because of what he did to his two brothers. And you also gotta feel bad for Sophia in the scene too, because based off of her dialogue, she doesn't want to be doing this. She's not really the villain of the show. It's Oz, it's the Penguin. She's only doing this because she's reacting to what Oz did to her, because he's the reason she got locked up in Arkham for a decade. He's the reason that her brother who loved her for her is dead, and he's the reason that she suffered everything she's been through up until now. So she's just basically responding to everything that Oz did to her. She's not just doing this because she's being a bad guy all willy-nilly. She's trying to make Oswald suffer the consequences of his actions because she suffered the consequences of his many years ago. As for Victor, he's good, he's alive, he's okay for now, and he kind of has his own parallel scene to Oswald giving his speech to the gang leaders at the end of episode 6, as he tries to convince them to go rescue Oz after the explosion, but they don't want to rescue Oz because they know he's a scumbag, a backstabber, a liar, a thief. And you can see some evilness come out of him as he kind of gets aggressive with the gang leaders. And one of the second in command sees this and puts an end to the speech because he's basically sympathizing with Victor here. He knows what it's like to be someone's right-hand man, and he sees the potential in Victor. And he kind of just read the vibes of the room. They were gonna kill him if Victor kept talking, so that's why he kind of stepped in. And later on, we get an interesting scene with Oz and the councilman after he escapes from Sophia due to his plot armor kicking in because his mother had passed out and he had plot armor, he was able to escape. But we get an interesting scene with him and the councilman as he's asking to be more welcome in the political parts of Gotham. And he basically bribes him by giving him a story which was all a lie about how Sal and Sophia were at war with each other and Sophia caused the explosion, killing all of Sal's men. This is good for the councilman because this will make him look good to his higher ups. But this is good for Oswald because it'll make him look perfect on paper within the political world, because he's the only one who has gotten the power back to Crown Point. He's also the only one to figure out this whole gang war situation between the Falcones and the Maronis. So that'll basically make him look perfect on paper. With this, he might even run for mayor, which could go into the Batman Part 2. So if he's within that political party, or if he gets elected as mayor because he's perfect on paper for it, Batman won't be able to do anything to him because he could use his immunity as a politician against Batman. And he could also use this to cover up his criminal tracks. So that'll be interesting to see if that unfolds in the Batman Part 2. And later on, the second in command that helped out Vic earlier during the speech helps him again by revealing that Sophia put a bounty on Oswald's head for any gang leader that finds them first. They can have all of the Falcone's fortunes and mansion and everything. And they kind of team up and betray all of their gang leaders in order to get Sophia captured. And here's where another example of spreading evil from Oz's actions come in. His speech in the end of episode 6 kind of inspired those second in commands to betray their own boss and become leader of themselves, or to make a name for themselves, because they too, I'm pretty sure they felt overlooked and used and not seen as a person just because they were someone else's second in command. And there's also a little bit of Victor's speech that inspired them too, just based off of the fact that they seen someone else's second in command giving that speech in the first place all by himself. Now with Sophia, Oz gives her a fate worse than death. He actually sends her back to Arkham thanks to his conversation with the councilman he had earlier this episode. So now she basically is starting from square one. She's back to where she was in the beginning. She's back in that same place where she got broken as a person. And it's all thanks to the person that sent her there in the first place. So I like that full circle narrative there. But that just shows you how sinister Oz is and how twisted he is. He doesn't deal with his enemies by just giving them a quick death bullet to the head. If he really sees you as a threat, he'll give you a fate that's far worse than death. And you know, for Sophia, a fate worse than death for her is being put back into Arkham Asylum. Now, although Sophia does have a bitter ending, she has a kind of a happy ending too, because Selina Kyle wrote her a letter to her in Arkham. And we don't see what the letter says, but Sophia is obviously happy to see it. And this indicates to Sophia that she has another family member or half family member that actually cares about her as a person. And we also seen how much Catwoman empathize or sympathize with women in the Batman Part 1 movie. So I think that here Selina's gonna try to help get her out of Arkham Asylum. So she kind of has a happy ending there. And speaking of fates worse than death, we find out that Oz's mother is put in a vegetative state due to her medical condition, where she basically can't move, but she's forced to watch her son, the monster, the evil plague, just live on free and get everything he wants, as he fulfills one promise to her he made as a kid, to get her a nice lodge with the view of the city. And it's kind of sad here because he basically, like I said, he gets everything he wants, and he kind of props up his mother's body in front of that window as a decoration, or in this case as a trophy for being successful in everything and fulfilling that promise. But the promise he failed to keep was to kill his mother in case she ever lost her mind fully, like she asked him to in the previous episode. And also, he forces his girlfriend, quote unquote girlfriend, to dress up as his mother, in which she gives him affirmations that he would have loved to hear from his actual mother if she was able to speak, which is kind of twisted. So here you could just basically see Oz's mental state is not there fully anymore, you know, just because of everything that's happening with his mom, and then due to the new power and victory he's gained over Sophia, those two things combined is just messing with him mentally. And then we get to a scene that was inevitable. We all saw it coming. Oz does the most unforgivable thing in this whole season. He kills Victor. He's talking to him. They're having a heart-to-heart. This is right after they find out about Oz's mother's condition, which he was there supporting him emotionally. And he basically kills him because he figured that if he has someone else he cares about, it'll make both of them a liability, because he's seen what Sophia did against him this season when he had his mother he cares about. So he just doesn't want to be put in a vulnerable situation like that ever again. So the best thing in Oz's eyes to do is to kill Victor off. Now, he didn't want to really do it, and he does acknowledge that he couldn't have done this without Victor, but that was the best possible outcome in Oz's eyes in order to get rid of all signs of weakness. And the reason that no one can really go after his mother now is because the only person that did know about his mother is Sophia, but she's locked away at Arkham. So if he just has his mother propped up against that window like he does, no one will know to look there. No one can use that against him, making his greatest strength come back, which is not having anyone he cares about. And it's just sad to see Vic go out like that because he was there for Oz since day one. He had plenty of chances to escape, but he chose to stay by Oz's side. He was there for Oz during the good and the bad times. And he even said that Oz is like family to him. And Oz just turns around and kills him. It's just really messed up and just shows you how evil Oz truly is. So that's where Colin Farrell's interview comes into play of him saying, "You're gonna hate Oz by the end of the season." Because he kills the one and only person who would have died for him without him doing the killing. Then to end the episode off, we get a glimpse of the bat signal lining up once again, signifying the return of Batman. Now, whether he was training with the League of Assassins, taking the actual break from the Riddler flood, or doing his modeling career, we never know what he's doing, but we do know that he is back now, and that's what's important. So yeah, count your days, Oz, because I can't wait for everything to fall flat for you. I can't wait for Batman to find a way to cave your face in. I can't wait. So anyway, 10 out of 10 episode. It was really good. Now, I like this. Even though the ending was sad for Vic and I'm mad at Oswald, you're supposed to be mad because this is a show about a supervillain. So this is how you do a supervillain show properly, right? You have to have the guy be unlikable. Usually other companies will have their supervillain focus of its show. They will kind of turn them into an anti-hero as their antagonist is much more worse. But here, it kind of plays with your emotions. It makes you root for other antagonists of Oswald. But it also shows you why Oswald should be rooted against. And it just does a good job with showing how evil he can be, how slimy he is, what he's willing to do to get to the top, and how, he spreads evil towards everyone he comes in contact with, and that he doesn't care who he affects, as long as he comes out on top, which is pretty comic book accurate. So with that being said, that's going to be about it for this review. If you did see the episode, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.